J. Benson Studios presents Chapter 2, June 2010. The cool breeze whisked across her face from the window in the room where she had been granted permission to record her thoughts. Her mascara bled down her cheeks as she wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to write this letter. My therapist thought this would be a good way to process everything that's happened since Mom died. It isn't. Victoria rolled her eyes as she stood in front of the camera. This is stupid, she thought to herself while she tried to find the inner strength to press forward. With a heavy sigh, she closed her eyes, stilled her mind, and continued to speak. I was 15 when she was taken from me, and today is my 25th birthday. Happy birthday, Vicky. Another tear escaped. As she held back the floodgates, her throat tightened from the strain of her emotions. My baby sister, Michelle, was only 10 years old when it happened. Can you believe it? She's a woman now. I miss her. I miss her so damn much. I know that soon the shadow men will come for her. It's just a matter of time. I hope I'm wrong. I hope what these doctors telling me are the truth and I'm simply insane, and that would make it easier to believe that she's going to be all right. Victoria paused. The words had become harder to get out, and the tears had begun to flow freely. She was paralyzed with sorrow and despair. It wasn't supposed to be this way, she thought as she allowed the tears to flow. Reality set in that she wouldn't be able to use any of the material in this shot. With that awareness, she stood up from the chair and walked over to the camera. She pressed the stop button and looked at the screen. In the still image, she could see a shadow standing behind her. See? She screamed to the aide controlling the camera. Do you see this? Her eyes had grown wild and frantic. The aide looked at the still. She eyed it carefully, looking back towards Victoria. What should I be seeing? She asked carefully. The shadow. Do you see the shadow? Victoria screamed. Her agitation was growing with each passing moment. She was running out of time, and this aide couldn't see it. Heightened, she threw her hands in the air. How can you not see it? She yelled. Let's calm down, Victoria. I can see the shadow in this, but what you need to understand is that this shadow belongs to you. We all have them. Maybe this isn't a good idea, the aide reflected and motioned to end the session. Victoria scanned the room and realized that if the session ended, so would her opportunity to prove her sanity. No, please, you're right. I'm just, please, could I have one more chance? The desperation in Victoria's voice was not lost on the aide. The aide sighed heavily, rolled her eyes, regained her composure, and stood in front of the camera with renewed conviction. One more chance. That's all you get. Understood? This small victory left Victoria more hopeful and renewed. She smiled deeply. Yes, understood. Thank you. You won't regret this. Thank you so much, she said, smiling. The aide smiled back at her and motioned for her to sit back down. Okay, we don't have all day, so get back to your seat and let's get this done. Good? Her eyebrow raised as she glared at Victoria. Victoria knew this would be her last opportunity. Most of the aides thought she was insane. This one had been the only person to give her a chance to do this. She wasn't going to squander that opportunity. She sat back in her seat, looked up at the aide, and smiled. Good. Okay, let's begin, the aide said as she pressed the record button. My hands are trembling because I know that as soon as I put this down to paper, I will never get out of this place. I don't think I'm crazy, but that's not what everyone else thinks. It really was what happened to me when my mom died. It was really hard for the family. My father was devastated, and Michelle didn't take it too well either. She paused for a moment, reflecting on her next choice of words. What I've seen was never meant to be seen by those in the physical realm. This knowledge was never meant to be made public. I don't know what will happen to me if they find out. They say, Vicky, why do you believe there are shadow men? And I tell them, because I've seen them. Isn't that enough proof for these people? Victoria looked up at the aide and closed her eyes. In her mind, she was still trapped and haunted. The desire to save her sister from evil gave her the strength to keep going, even though she knew she just saw a shadow that wasn't her own. The things that I'm about to share, you may have already seen in those horror movies. Some of it will simply blow your mind. There are things that go bump in the night. I can't decide for you whether to believe me. Only you can choose that. What I can tell you, though, is that once you hear the truth, you will never be able to unhear it. Be still and don't let them see your fear.